Hey guys, Carl from TDG here with an update on the Amazon Huntress build following the completion of Act 2. We actually decided to take a look at the build and ended up making a change away from some of the bleed style that we were playing with and actually went to some of the lightning play style, focusing on the combination of Stormlance and Thunderous Sleep. I'm sure a lot of you have seen some of these videos and just overall the smoothness of the gameplay. So we made some changes to the tree, and we're going to highlight those right now as where we were at the completion of Act 3, and then we will show a little gameplay footage. I'll highlight some of the skills and the combinations that we're using as well, and we'll go from there. So originally we had some of this incision taken, we dropped this, and we also came up and we dropped our inspiring ally. That freed up a lot of nodes for us, which we used to fill out the remainder of this spear tree. Came up here, dropped electrocution. Talk more about that later and why electrocution is so important for this build. Coming Calamity combination with Herald of Thunder to give us 50% more increased lightning damage, as well as some Surging Currents for some lightning pen, Primal Sundering for some more lightning pen, and then Catalyst for a little bit of elemental damage and also a little bit of fizz reduction. Nothing major there, but it's just, you know, a little extra is nice to have. Now for our Ascendancy, obviously we took the Amazon and we're going to be taking Elemental Infusion so that we get a little bit more of the Frenzy Charge consumption to give us more of the lightning infusion into our attacks when we're using that. And then currently we're still just sitting with Predatory Instinct with the reveal weakness against the rare and unique enemies. Likely going to be changing that in the future when we get a little bit more or a few more passive nodes, be taking critical strikes to elevate our base critical strike chance. But alright guys, that is the changes that we have made since the last video, and be sure to like and subscribe and enjoy the gameplay that follows. Peace. So here we go over some of the build updates with the skills and what we are using. So when you complete the Venomous Pits quest, we're going to be taking the increased elemental element threshold. This was important last patch, but increasingly so now after the nerfs that we took to element threshold. So we're going to apply that right now, and then we're going to take a look at our skills and the links that we currently have. So we're going to start off with our infused weapon. We're going to be grabbing Concentrated Effect for increased, or I should actually say, more damage. We're also going to be grabbing Primal Armament for more elemental weapon damage, as well as Magnified Effect for more area of effect. Then we're going to come down here to our main attack, which is going to be Stormlance, and we're going to be taking the Retreat for more projectile damage if you have hit an enemy with a melee in the last 8 seconds. So that's going to be really important, because we're going to be combining that with Thunderous Sleep. And we're also going to be taking Electrocute. Now, if you remember when I was going over the passives, we spoke about the importance of electrocution. Now, this will allow us to electrocute enemies, and when we combine that with Combat Frenzy, we'll be gaining a Frenzy Charge every time that we electrocute an enemy. So that's going to be one way that we are going to be generating our Frenzy Charges for Stormlance to consume. Our last link here is going to be Lightning Infusion for 25% more or increased extra lightning damage. We're going to then look at Thunderous Sleep, which we have combined with Conduction for more chance to shock, Martial Tempo for increased movement speed, and then Momentum for more damage on the land after we dive over 2 meters. Now for those who don't know how big 2 meters is, it's from about my character to probably right around where that circle is right here. It's not a very big area. So moving on, we're running our Herald of Thunder, as we talked about in the passive tree, getting 50% increased damage from running this, and then Combat Frenzy, like we just previously discussed, and then Barrage linked to Premeditation and Perpetual Charge, so that we have a chance of not actually removing the charges when we proc this. I'll quickly highlight the gear that we're using. I'll be honest guys, it's really not very good. It's still been a grind to get through here, but you know, this would be greatly improved if we just had some better items, especially some better weapons. So I'll hover those and then I'll leave you with some gameplay. Alright, and in this clip we're going to be looking at the build against the Forge Master. We're using our Bleed build here as well. We're going to be comboing some of those lightning spears in there, kind of get him from the kill. And this is the last look at the Bleed build. And this is the first look at the new lightning setup. We're using Stormlance as our main attack and Thunderous Sleep to proc the extra damage. So that was the Queen of Filth, and now we're just looking at the final attacks or the final moments of Viper Fight. here we're going to be taking a look at the clear speed now, just overall. Some of the previous builds, you get to see what that looked like. So just some general mob clear here. And we'll peel that back and take out this essence monster. Prep that a little bit, get ready for it, and then we're going to leap in there and proc all that off. You can see the electrocution going off with the stun. And basically just stands no chance. Again, just looking at some grouping here and some mobbing. The general playstyle as we run through, just the overall speed of the build as it goes. A little bit more here, you can see that we can even get ourselves into a little bit of trouble here and still just be able to clear it out just based on the AoE and the overall damage. Alright, so I figured we would play all of the Doriani fight. We're going to have this going at 2 times speed, but I figured we would just highlight what this looks like overall so we can get a pretty good comparison to what some of those previous boss kills look like. So we're going to let this play all the way through, especially if we compare this to what the Jumanji fight looked like at the end of Act 2. You can see we kind of just danced around throwing the Storm Lance, keeping those proccing on him, getting the extra damage. And then on the occasion, we jump in to detonate those for some extra damage. But we're just throwing it at them. We're dancing around on the outside, avoiding the AoEs, and just trying to stay away from the pretty well telegraphed attacks here. So we're running around, triggering all those floor mechanics so that we have a free area to run around in the arena. So the scariest part of this boss is actually the butt. He does his laser beams out of his butt. He rotates clockwise, and if you get stuck in that, it is absolutely I guess I would call it a one-shot mechanic, but it's pretty much death. This right here. So we actually dove through it the first way and then tried to stay away from it as its second pass through. All right, we're just gonna let the rest of this play through and highlight a little bit of that boss damage and just what the overall build and the fight look like, and you guys can enjoy. Alright, and as we're winding this fight down now, I'll start signing off. I hope everybody enjoyed the content today and enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.